How's it going, guys? Fent CK here again. Last time I believe we left off right after I had overdosed the first time at 17. Jumping right back into it, I guess to give you a recap, I started doing heroin at 16, ended up overdosing on some fentanyl laced dope at 17, and then my family found out. I went to rehab for 2 months, which not the worst experience of my life, not the best experience of my life. It was what it was. It was not fun, but could have been worse. So anyway, I get out of rehab in November of 2017, and I immediately fly to Arizona to go stay with my dad. Now, that never happened. My father was never really capable of taking me in, so I stayed at a lot of different places when I first moved out here. It took me a good 3 months to get enrolled into high school, all that good stuff. But I finally enrolled into high school to finish out my junior and senior year. This was in January of 2018. I had ended up meeting my now ex-girlfriend. We were together for over 4 years. A lot happened between us. She ended up cheating on me at the end, and I found out. And yeah, it's not as messy as you would think. We're still cool, but anyway, that's another story for another time. I was clean for the most part for a while, up until, well, okay, so I relapsed when I first moved out here, but I got clean again in January because of my girlfriend. I got clean. So anyway, moving on. I want to say it would probably have been around June of 2018-ish, maybe July. I started buying Oxy 30s, like real OP 30s, off of somebody. Just like once a month I'd get one, and that was never really an issue. It was just for fun, something to relax off. And I did that for a while, just like I said, once a month. I was never really like addicted to anything again up until, it's a big jump, but up until about December of 2019. That is when I was introduced to blues. Now, I was working at a grocery store called Safeway at the time, and one of my coworkers had told me that he could get, in his words, he said, Percocet 30s for like $10 a pop. I'm like, okay, sure, that sounds good. I didn't know a whole lot about the pill game at this point. I think I was paying like $20 for an OP 30, so that seemed like a pretty good price, whatever. So I ended up buying them, and I snorted half of one, and it obliterated me. It got me so fucked up that I felt sick almost, like I thought my tolerance had just been like, pretty low for a while, and so that's why it fucked me up so much. So I kept doing them for a few weeks. I would snort a little bit before work, and it was helping me with like my back pain and things like that. And that's the other thing, when you're doing them in a lower dose like that, it's almost like it's an opposite kind of effect. It doesn't really like make you nod. It makes you like kind of feel like energized, like you want to go just do shit. You feel good, so you want to get shit done. So that's how I was for, like I said, a couple weeks, and he ended up telling me that they were fentanyl. Now, I think I briefly went over this in my overview video. I was not scared by that fact at all. I had done heroin, I had done fentanyl. It wasn't new to me, so I wasn't really afraid. And I decided to try and smoke these pills because I was told that they were fentanyl. And sure enough, obviously that works. And that's kind of what kicked my addiction in overdrive. Now, I kept doing them nearly every day to every day for the next 5 or 6 months after that. And it was getting to the point where, like, I didn't have any money for rent, I didn't have any money for food, all of my money was going to that. I spent an entire stimulus check on them, like, bad. My addiction was bad, and I was getting ripped off on prices, too. So, double bad. But, yeah, I was just, I got to the point where I was doing, like, 6 to fucking, sometimes 9, 10, 11 a day, and it was just really fucked up, and I didn't really even notice myself going like that far. And everybody around me could kind of tell that something was going on, and I wouldn't admit to it to anybody, not even my girlfriend. Like, everybody was telling me, like, you need to go to a doctor, you're throwing up all the time, you're so skinny, there's got to be something wrong with you. I was just on dope, so I didn't want to go to the doctor, shit like that. Everybody was worried about me. I didn't see the issue, really, and I, at one point, had run out and really realized, like, holy fuck, I'm getting dope sick again. This is not good. I'm addicted to these pills, and I need to do something about it. So I tried to kick in May, and I was successful. I made it all the way through the withdrawals and everything. Again, I didn't tell my girlfriend that that's what I was going through. I just played it off as I was really sick. Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. I was, like, up for the entire week, basically fucking hallucinating, like, the fucking cold sweats, the hot flashes, restless everything, not being able to stop fucking moving, like, just anything horrible you could think of. My whole body fucking hurt like fuck. Like, everything was just completely miserable. And I made it through that, and I went to hang out with my uncle the weekend after that, and I told him about everything that I had been struggling with and that I finally kicked blues. My uncle is not a good person. He's not a good person at all. We did meth together that weekend, and the one and only time that I have ever shot up heroin was because of him, and he did it for me. He shot me up. Luckily, I found it to be quite underwhelming. It wasn't as spectacular as I had hoped, so I never tried it again. That, and it took like 15 minutes because I couldn't hit a vein. It was just too much work for not that great of a payoff. It's not my thing. Shooting's not my thing. I like smoking my dope. So, yeah. But anyway, I stayed off shit, but my girlfriend found out that I was on shit because my dealer messaged me, and she got to my phone before I did. I was asleep and saw the message and started messaging him and found out, everything that was going on. So I told her, and, we didn't break up or anything like that. It was all good. I just kind of, I promised that I would try to not, do that shit anymore. 4 months later, I relapsed. Stayed on shit for like a couple days and got off real quick. And then I relapsed again after we got my apartment and we moved in. And I had one of my friends who also had his own issues with them move in with me. And that kind of kick-started both of our addictions, and we got really bad, both of us. We were smoking blues every day. And this kind of all led to one major event that happened. At this point, we were selling cocaine and selling weed, and I personally was also selling Xanax to support other drug habits and my own Xanax and fentanyl habit. We were all doing cocaine, and I was doing Xanax as well, and smoking blues. Now, the combination of benzos and fentanyl is extremely dangerous. Like, extremely fucking dangerous. It's caused me to overdose on more than one occasion, which actually, after this, I will tell you about the other occasion. I forgot it happened before this, but anyway, this is what happens when you don't have a script for your videos. But yeah, so anyway, what I believe happened was, because we stopped doing coke at the end of the night, the cocaine wore off, and all the fentanyl and Xanax that was in my system kind of really took over at that point. The cocaine was probably stimulating my heart enough to keep it beating. And so at one point I went to stand up. I don't remember what I was going to do. I just know I stood up, and my ex told me that I said, "Oh fuck," and then I fell and just knocked a bunch of shit off the table, hit the ground, you know. And my one roommate, Tristan, was kind of just freaking the fuck out at this point. My other roommate was trying to do CPR on me, and my ex was calling the hospital, you know, calling an ambulance for me. And I guess I made like the death rattle noise and everything. That was something that I feel horrible about. It kind of caused my roommates some PTSD. But yeah, all that shit happened. And I remember same sort of scenario as the first time I overdosed. I came to with EMTs in my face, and it was immediate full-blown panic. I didn't have my phone, you know, I didn't know what the fuck was going on, really. Like, it was just bad. I didn't know what hospital they were taking me to. I had no idea how I was going to get a hold of anybody. I didn't have any phone numbers, like, memorized at that point. It fucked me up. So I'm panicking, you know, the whole way to the hospital, and in the hospital I'm freaking out. They had Narcan me again, and they tried IVing me in my arm, and it was not working. So they had to do some shit where they like popped a hole in my kneecap and capped off an IV inside of my knee, and they had to like numb the area around it. And when I tell you, the numbing shit wearing off was the reason that I left the emergency room that night. That's literally the whole reason I got the fuck out of there. I started freaking the fuck out, screaming, telling them they had to get this shit out of my leg now, because it was just unbearably painful. Like a throbbing kind of just like searing, burning fucking pain in my knee. It was horrible, and I still have a fucked up knee from this shit. This happened, you know, 2 years ago. But yeah, and I really, like, I just didn't know what I was gonna do. Fortunately, my ex had figured out how to get a hold of my actual, like, hospital room, and so I answered the phone, and she ended up coming in an Uber, and then we just both got an Uber back. And anyway, you know, I still had Xanax bars in my pockets. Like, the cops didn't even fucking bother to confiscate my drugs, but we ended up flushing an ounce of cocaine down the toilets. And another story for another day, got one of my roommates pistol whipped on camera. But yeah, so my other overdose that happened before this, though, wasn't serious enough to land me in the hospital, but arguably this was my scariest overdose personally. So I'm a musician. Music is extremely important to me. Okay, I'm gonna preface this by saying that this night I decided to get 2 blues, 2 bars. I took half of a bar, smoked half of a blue. It laid me out, you know, went night-night. That wasn't the scary part. The scary part was when I woke up the next day and I was deaf. I fucking couldn't hear. I couldn't hear myself screaming at the top of my lungs. It was like the only thing I could hear was this crazy fucking, like, you know, when it's like completely still, dead silent, and you get that kind of like staticky, like, just noise in your ears. I don't know how else to describe it. It was like that turned up to fucking 11. Like, that's all I could hear. I couldn't hear myself fucking talk. I couldn't hear myself banging on shit, nothing. This persisted for like 3 hours, and the whole time I was freaking out. And in my dazed stupor, I just decided I'm gonna smoke more fentanyl because I don't know what else to do to calm myself down. And that just knocked me right the fuck back out. And then I came back to, and fortunately, I had hearing back in one of my ears. And slowly, throughout the day, it all came back. But I thought that I made myself deaf, like permanently. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I would have unalived myself, like, straight up. I would not have been able to continue on not hearing with everything that's important to me. Nah, that would be just terrible. And so, fuck you, light. Stupid fucking light. But yeah, so that all happened. Basically, yeah, like, after that overdose that happened, after the death one, I continued using for a little bit, and then got clean shortly after my 21st birthday in June of 2021. And yeah, I guess we'll just leave that as our stopping point for now. And in the next one, we will talk more about how my Xanax addiction got worse after this, and then, you know, more opioid problems, because it's never ending. But no, thank you guys for watching this video. I'm sorry, all of my content is extremely unstructured. My scatterbrained ass, yeah, I'm not very good at telling stories on the spot, but you know, that's it is what it is. It's the video, so hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully maybe you learned something, and yeah, don't mix 2 downers, because you'll go deaf, I guess. Fuck that shit. Anyways, y'all stay safe. Have a good one. Fent CK out.